Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I want to bring to you an untold story of an African woman that conquered the colonial governors and the Europeans. Imagine walking into a room full of your enemies, they offer you no chair because they want you on your knees. Now imagine responding by turning your own servant into a throne and sitting eye to eye with the most powerful colonial governor in Africa. That was Queen Nzinga, and that was just day one. Before we proceed to this story, kindly subscribe and like this video. This is the story of a woman born in 1583 in the Kingdom of Ndongo, a land that would one day become the nation of Angola. A woman who was stripped of everything, exiled from her own kingdom, had her sisters captured, and watched her people dragged into slavery. And she still never surrendered, not for once, but for 30 years. History book buried her name. Today, we bring it back to you. Nziga was born in the royal ruling of family of Ndongo. From childhood, she received military and political training, rare for any person at that time, let alone a woman. She grew up watching her father rule, watching how power worked, and quietly learned everything. While other children playing, Nziga was studying war, diplomacy, and survival. She was being prepared for something even if nobody knew yet. When the Portuguese Empire arrived on the coast of West Africa, they came with ships, guns, and one mission to capture as many Africans as possible and fuel the brutal engine of the transatlantic slave trade. They were ruthless, they were powerful, and the Kingdom of Ndongo was right in that part. What nobody told them was the standing between was that was one thing that was standing between them and total conquest, and that thing was a woman, and they were completely unprepared for it. In 1622, Nziga wandered into a meeting with the Portuguese colonial governor. Imagine walking as a woman into Portuguese colonial governor as a queen. This was an enemy territory. She was outnumbered, but when Portuguese over her no share, a deliberate insult designed to force her to kneel down before them. Nziga did something nobody expected. She turned one of her own attendants into a woman throne, sat down, and looked the governor directly in her eye. No fear, no submission, just pure power. It was a message that nobody translate, no that needed no translation. I will not bow. I will not surrender for anyone. She negotiated peace that day. She was brilliant, calculated, and charming when she needed to be. The Portuguese agreed to her terms. They shook hands on a deal. But the moment she walked out of that room, they broke every single promise they had made. They continued raiding her people. They continued taking slaves. They thought she would accept it. They were wrong. After her brother's mysterious death in 1624, Nziga assumed the throne of Ndongo. She took the title of Angola, a name traditionally reserved for male rulers only. She was now queen, and her first order of business was simple: war. She was done negotiating with people who had no intention of keeping up of their word. If Portugal wanted a kingdom, they would have to come and take it, and she would make sure that cost them everything. What followed was one of the most remarkable military campaigns in all African history. Nziga trained her army in the heart of guerrilla warfare, hit and run attacks on Portuguese settlements, ambushes on their supply lines, raids that came from nowhere and disappeared back into the jungle. The Portuguese were a modern military force with guns and cannons. Nzigami used the land itself as a weapon, and it was working. But Nzinga did something else that was truly genius. She opened her kingdom to escaped slaves. Any man or woman who had broken free from Portuguese chains was welcomed in an army. She gave them land, she gave them weapons, she gave them dignity. In doing this, she was not just building an army, she was destroying the slave trade from the inside. Every slave who escaped to her side was one less worker for the Portuguese economy. Imagine when you take slave from the Portuguese, you empower them, you give them dignity. That will make your enemy weaker and will make you stronger. And one more for our soldier, for our own soldier. The Portuguese fought hard. They captured her sister. They drove her out of Ndongo entirely. By 1629, Nziga was in exile with barely 200 soldiers to her name. Most people would have given up. Most people would have accepted defeat. But Nziga simply moved to a neighboring kingdom called Matamba, took control of it, and used it as a new base of operations. She was not retreating, she was not repositioning. By 1641, Nziga made one of the most smartest moves of her entire career. She formed an alliance with the Dutch, the one European power that was actually fighting against the Portuguese. That was she was trying to liaise with with some European to fight the Portuguese. She understood something critical. You do not defeat your enemy alone. If you can make their enemy your ally, you know the friend of your the enemy of your enemy is your own friend. This was not weakness. This was strategy at highest level. In 1647, the moment finally came. Nzinga forces Nzinga forces her warriors and Dutch allies. They met with the Portuguese army in open battle and they defeated them completely. Nzinga was 64 years old when she personally led that change into the battlefield. 64 years old, standing at the front of her army against one of the greatest military empires on the planet, and she won. Queen Nzinga never stopped fighting until the day she died in 1663 at the age of 80. She never surrendered. She never surrendered her kingdom. She never surrendered her people. And she never surrendered herself and her dignity. Not for 30 years. Not against one of the most powerful empires in human history. And her resistance did not die with her. The spirit she ignited burned for more centuries, directly inspiring Angola's fight for independence from Portugal, which finally came in 1975. 300 years and after 300 years after she first picked up a sword against the Portuguese themselves. Today, a massive statue of Queen Nzinga stands tall in the capital city of Luanda in Angola. Her face is on currency, her name is in the school, but most of the world still do not know who she was. If this story moved you, share, subscribe, and like this video. Subscribe for more untold stories that they never taught you in school. We'll see you in the next one. You can suggest for the next one you wish to see. Thank you.